Hi Gym Rats and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Modding Glory video, and today we shall be casting our critical eye over the Imperial Guard 10th edition index once more. This time the trees are talking Catachan. It's the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. It's time for Sly Marbo. That's right, the one-man army himself made it through the transition from 9th to 10th edition. And he seems kind of interesting. He's got a new profile, new abilities, and some updated weapons. But the big question is, are those muscles still real? Or has Marbo been taking some extracurriculars? Is he any good in the new edition? Well, there's only one way to find out. We need to enter the big mean green, draw first blood, and dive right into today's episode. So as is tradition, we shall begin this video with a brief overview of who the hell Sly Marbo even is. Little is known about the origins of Sly Marbo. He is a mysterious and aloof character who rarely communicates with more than a nod or a grunt. But his exploits are legendary within the Imperium and its enemies. It is said that War Urgok was stopped when Marbo placed a single round between the warlord's eyes, decapitating the head from the snake. Some say that on Pardus, he destroyed an entire enemy armoured column by booby-trapping a ravine. Others say that whilst on Sask's world, he saved the entire war effort by leading a one-man assault on the enemy command post, destroying the enemy leader and all of its tentacle bodyguards with nothing but his bare hands and a ration tin. These are but a handful of the tales surrounding Marbo, and his status has reached almost mythical heights within the Imperial Guard. But how does all of this translate into the game of 40k? How does he perform on the tabletop? Well, to answer that question, we must first start by taking a look at his datasheet and unit profile. Marbo has a quite impressive stat line for what is essentially a roided up guardsman. He is movement 6, T3, save 5+, 4 wounds. That is the same as a Imperial Guard senior officer. He's also leadership 7 and objective control 1. Now you might think that's pretty basic. He's a 4 wound guardsman, not much special. Well, hold your horses, honey, because we've got vouchers for the Pringles. Marbo's main stats are in his weapons, starting off with the Ripper pistol. This thing is anti-infantry 2+, which is wild. It's a pistol, so he can shoot it in combat, but even better, it's precision. So he can pick out enemy characters. But this isn't any old pistol. This isn't a las pistol. This is a Ripper pistol. Got 12-inch range. It fires 3 attacks. Marbo always hits on a 2+. And it is strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. That's right. Marbo is essentially wielding a handheld heavy bolter. But if that wasn't impressive enough, he also has an envenomed blade. This too is anti-infantry 2+. This too is precision. It's a melee weapon that comes with 5 attacks. Weapon skill 2+. Strength 5, AP -1, and 2 damage again. It's not enough that he's got a handheld heavy bolter. His knife is also more powerful than a heavy bolter because it gets 5 attacks. I don't know what ammunition Marbo has put in that auto pistol, and I don't know where he found the poison that makes a Dark Elder homunculus blush, but I'm not complaining. That is a wild set of weapons. If Marbo hits with everything and wounds with everything, and your opponent doesn't make his saves, you are looking at a one-man model that can put out 16 damage in a single turn. Now, of course, statistically, Marbo isn't likely to do all 16 damage in one go, but that doesn't make him any less of a threat, and he is the bane of any medium character and below. Now, what I class as a medium character is something like a Space Marine Lieutenant or a Captain, something with decent toughness, half decent armor save, and a number of wounds, 3 or 4. If you were to send Marbo into something like that, he's going to hit all 3 times with his Ripper Pistol, and he should wound all 3 times as well, because anti-infantry 2+. But let's say, for the sake of argument, he drops one of those along the way. Now, your opponent is going to be on a 4-up save, which means that one of those wounds should sneak through. That's 2 damage. That's half the wounds done before you've even got to the main show, which is the Envenom Blade, which is, again, likely to hit with all 5 attacks. It's not out of the realm's possibility. It's going to wound with all 5, but again, we'll drop 1 for the sake of argument. Somewhere between the hit and the wound, you roll a 1. That's another 4 wounds. Again, your opponent's on a 4+ save. 2 of those are going to go through. That is another 4 damage. So in total, Marbo can reliably do 6 damage to any sort of Space Marine Captain or equivalent character. And against a light infantry character, something like a Guard Platoon Command Squad or equivalent, he's utterly lethal. He will go through a command squad single-handedly without breaking a sweat. His Ripper Pistol alone will cut down the officer, and then it's 4 guardsmen between him and the Envenom Blade. And this really is how you want to be thinking about Marbo. How can you use him to assassinate enemy characters? We don't need to go to a dodgy temple to get that done. We can just rely upon one Catachan lad. However, it is important to note that his defensive profile is very limited. He is essentially a guardsman with 4 wounds. So when he goes into the enemy character, if it takes all of your attacks to kill said character, then the remaining bodyguard units are likely to turn round and beat Sly Marbo into a pulp. He is a living weapon. He's a one-man hunter-killer missile, and the best way to use him is to get the best trade out of him. What character can you kill that's going to make Marbo have the biggest impact on the battlefield, or at the very least, earn his points back? However, Marbo is not a one-dimensional being. He's a complex and deep individual, and he has a number of core abilities that allow him to have great tactical depth and flexibility. To start off, he has infiltrators, which means you can put him anywhere on the board outside your opponent's deployment zone. This could be quite a sneaky way of getting onto an objective early, or your opponent very well might forget about him. He is, after all, one guardsman. Stick him behind a line of sight blocking L-shaped ruin, and your opponent might forget he's there. He can then jump out and do a cheeky assassination mission. He's also a lone operative, which means that your opponent cannot target him unless he is within 12 inches. Now, it's important to understand that this doesn't help Marbo sit back and blaze away and not have to worry about return fire. All of Marbo's weapons are either 12 inches or melee. What lone operative allows you to do is twofold. Firstly, as you mentioned earlier, Marbo can sit on an objective, and guess what? The enemy can't target him, not even with precision weapons. So if you've got an objective in your home field that you just want to protect, and your opponent has only really got shooting weapons like Tau, you stick Marbo on it, they're going to have a devil of a time getting you off that objective. Guard doesn't have access to a ton of lone operative. Off the top of my head, I can only think of Marbo and also the Gaunt's Ghost. And whilst Gaunt's Ghost is going to bring a lot more firepower and they're going to be able to shoot back and take advantage of lone operative, the thing is that they are quite a bit more expensive than Marbo. So if you just want a cheap way of sitting on an objective and holding it and your opponent having to physically come over there to take it off you, Marbo is the best way of doing that. He also has stealth. So if the enemy does get within 12 inches of him, he's still -1 to hit from range attacks. However, I wouldn't put too much stock in this. After all, Marbo has little more than a vest and muscles in terms of a defensive profile, and even with -1, incidental firepower will probably kill him. In addition to his core rules, Marbo has a couple of special unique ones just for his data sheet. The first one being one-man army. Each time an enemy unit targets a friendly Astra Militarum unit within 3 inches of this model with ranged attacks, after that enemy has finished making its attacks, this model can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. This is the definition of a nice to have, because Marbo's Ripper Pistol only has a 12-inch range. So most of the time, your opponent is going to shoot you. Marbo is going to be nearby. He's going to get pretty upset about it, and he's not going to be in range to retaliate. It's a bit of a shame, and I think they could have done a lot more with this ability. Next up, we have Like Fighting a Shadow. Each time this model has shot, if it is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can make a normal move as if it were your movement phase. If it does, until the end of the turn, this model is not eligible to declare a charge. This is another weird one, because it would be great if Marbo could shoot, move towards the enemy, and then almost guarantee his charge distance, but he can't, because he can't charge afterwards. Instead, how you want to think about this ability is jump, shoot, jump. Marbo can move out from behind some line of sight blocking terrain, shoot with his Ripper Pistol, and then move back behind it. Now again, this would be a brilliant ability. If Marbo had even an 18-inch range, 24 would be ideal, but even an 18-inch range, he'd be able to make some good use out of it. But as it is, I just don't really see it working. What you want to do with Marbo is jump out, shoot, and then charge the enemy, and hope that between the shooting and the choppy, he takes down the character that you've marked for death. Just being honest, I think that his abilities are kind of underwhelming and a little bit dogshit and a bit disappointing. I don't know why they decided to focus on him being a shooting character when clearly most Catachan people are going to be about the close combat. I hope when he gets a new data card with the Codex, whenever that might be, they kind of move away from Marbo as a shooting character and instead they give him stuff that makes him more deadly up close and personal. Unfortunately, there is a little bit more fly in the ointment. There is a turd floating around the bowl that is refusing to go down. And that's his points cost. At the time of recording, he is 75 points. And frankly, I think that's just a bit too much. He was 50 points in the 9th edition book, and I would argue he was better in the 9th edition Codex. So he's got a little bit worse. At best, he's had a side grade, and then he's had a points increase. That just doesn't feel right. That doesn't sit well with me. Now, in the future, if you're watching this video and Marbo's gone down to like 60 points or 50, it's definitely worth it then. But right now, I think unless you're a diehard Catachan player, unless you really want to take him for fluff and flavor and memes, I don't think he's competitive. There is one thing that could change my opinion on that though, and that is how important precision becomes. Right now, the game is in a flux. It's sort of trying to find its way from the old edition to the new. And so we don't quite know how things are going to settle. Will vehicles become more important? That certainly seems to be the case. But will precision become game changing? If everyone's running around with big blocks of mega death units, and they're mega death and buffed up because of the characters leading them, precision might become essential. And in that case, Marbo becomes essential. Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think about the one-man army down in the comment section below. Do you think he is worth his points? And if not, what point level do you think he should be at? Of course, as always, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. And if you found today's video particularly fun or informative, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be helping me create more content, but you will also unlock a whole host of perks for yourself, including access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,000 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for discussing tactics, army lists, hobbying, painting, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. And I just want to take a moment to say a big thank you to all of the latest channel members. So thank you to Soup, Kilo Sierra, Sam Tullock, Joey C, Gold Bear, Finbar Orton, Snooker Fly, Philip K, Joshua Z, Holodimer, Henry Morgan, Tom G, Gilbert the King 97, Joshua Crosby, Brian Davies, Shock Me, Lex Berrien, Troop Topless, Peter S, Zombies, Peter B, Warren Shields, Colin C, Martin K, Relic YT, James Burnell, Preacher, Michael Gray, Beetlejuice, HTLL Voidwalker, and CJSJDJFDJEJXI. Possibly the hardest username I've ever had to read out on one of these thank yous. We've also got Paulio Ruiz, Grotz Gubbins, and Dark Like Vader. Thank you guys for becoming channel members. Thank you for doing your part. I also want to say a big thank you and a shout out to the latest Patreons as well. So thank you to Tone B, Buford, Mr. Ando, Reaper, Ethan M, Robert, Will Anonison, Merrick, Jonas Caring, Ravenham, Rogue Flight, Jordan Freeman 94, and Amy DeSweet. And last, but certainly not least, I want to say a personal, special, heartfelt thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people that have truly gone above and beyond the Call of Duty. So a massive thank you to Alan Blunt III, Amy DeSweet, Bon Bon Vert, Ken Starr, Mark Panconi, Ross Miller, Salvish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you so much for your incredible and humbling support. It truly makes a huge difference and is a big part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.